Hello everybody, welcome back again. Fixinta is back with this CBR600F4i. And it's got a little bit of a rough idle, but I really notice that it's missing when I'm at temperature and going up a hill or any kind of load on the engine. To troubleshoot that, the first thing I'm going to do is do a compression test on these cylinders, just to be sure. We have just rebuilt this engine if you've seen any of the other videos, but I never tested the compression. So I guess that would have been a good thing to do when it was out of the bike. We're going to go ahead and do that now. A lot of the pieces and parts, as you can see, the fairings and all of these front pieces are already off the bike. I've already got the screws out of the tank, and I've got the screws out of the tank back here also. The seat is being held on by some bolts, and if you just kind of, it's very inelegant. They could have done this a lot better, I think. But you just peel these corners back, and you can see there are 10mm bolts down here. One here and one here. I've already taken this one out. And then the seat will just come off. So I'm going to take that bolt out. I'll be right back. So I've taken the bolt out and the seat comes off. And you can see that I've taken the bolts out of the tank here also. So we're going to lift that tank up and get started on the rest. I've just kind of got the tank resting, if you will, in this fairing area. I'm going to go ahead and start taking these parts off. The first part you need to take off is this. This is the map sensor. Just needs to be unplugged. And then this is the air box here. We need to take these screws off that are all around this air box. So I'm going to do that off camera and I'll be back. By the way, these are just Phillips screws. Now that we've removed all the screws from around this air box, this top part just lifts off. You can see under here the air filter. The air filter just comes out. This is a K&N filter. This is not the original. I've heard a lot of people say the originals are better. I don't know that for sure, so we'll just keep that one. The next thing we want to do is these are the air horns that go down into the throttle bodies. And each one of them has 3 screws. There's one here, and there's 2 down inside these little indentations here. There, one there, and one down in here. And this is the second one. They're both the same. So we're going to take these 6 screws out, and this whole airbox section will come off. I've loosened all these screws, so these horn sets just lift out, and I'm just going to set them in here for right now. Actually, I'll just set them over here. And those screws also hold down this airbox piece. So this airbox piece, this just comes off like so. And now, move this out of the way, we have access to the coils and the plugs. So we're going to take these coils and plugs off so that we can get down into the cylinder and put the compression tester on. So these coils come off very easily. I've shown this in several videos before. What you need to do is just pinch the top and pull. You pinch. So there it is. I've taken it off already. But you pinch this part and just pull it off. I'm going to go ahead and do that for the other coils off camera. But for right now, I'm just going to show you, I've got this one disconnected, this coil. And these coils, they are called stick coils or coil on spark coils. And they just pull straight up. Just like so. And you may have to wiggle them out, but they are literally just sitting in there. So that is one coil out. I'm going to do the other ones, and I'll be back. I've successfully taken out the coils and disconnected them. Now we're going to get down in here. Now the spark plugs are recessed, so we're going to have to get down inside there to get them. And what I've found is that they are a 16mm. So I have a deep well 16 millimeter, a short extension, and a knuckle. And that seems to be the perfect combination for getting down inside these. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this set up. As I take everything off and I just put this down in the cylinder first. So you can see that it's there, and then I can put this knuckle on like so. Now we can loosen this plug. Actually, I'm tightening that plug. So I've taken this out, and you can see that the plug is not in it. I do not have the spark plug socket for this. I just used a regular deep weld 16. So what I'm going to do is get a magnet and pull that spark plug out. I'll be back. I am back. I have just this magnet, and I'm going to just put that down in the hole where the spark plug is and pull the spark plug out like so. So I'm going to do the same thing for these other three off camera. I've got all four spark plugs out. I've got the coils off. I've got everything apart to start testing the compression. Now I have this compression testing kit, which includes this hose. And essentially what we want to do is find the adapter here. So I've got this adapter that matches our spark plug size. Now that we've got that in place, we're going to screw this adapter down into each one of these holes individually. We're going to put the pressure gauge on this end. And then we're going to run the bike. We're going to run it. It won't run because it doesn't have the spark plugs and things in it. But what it will do is build pressure in these cylinders, hopefully. And we'll see what that pressure measures at. What we've got now is we've got the pressure gauge on the hose, and we've got the hose tightly screwed down into the spark plug hole here, and that is cylinder number 4. So it starts 1, 2, 3, 4. That's number 4. I'm gonna go get the key. We're gonna crank this thing over a few times. I may go ahead and just unplug here. This is the fuel pump, so I don't really need fuel running through this while we do the spark compression test. But I'm gonna grab the key and we'll go ahead and do this and see what it measures. I've got the key. You want to make sure the kill switch is on. We're going to turn the ignition on, and then we're going to crank this just like we were trying to start it. We're going to watch this gauge. You don't have to sit here and crank it for 20 minutes. You know, a few turns of the engine is just fine. So let's go ahead and try and do this real quick. Turn the key on, and there's no fuel pump running because I disconnected it down here. Key on. So let's go ahead and crank this. I'm gonna just crank it. I'm gonna watch this gauge. Okay. So that looks to be right around 125, maybe 130. I will go check the specs for this bike. Before we take this, or this hose, out of here, we just want to release the pressure, and that's what this button on the side is for. I've released the pressure. I'm gonna take this off. So that just comes off. And I'm going to unscrew this hose from here, and we'll test the next cylinder. We're gonna write down what the pressure was here first though. Okay, I have moved over to cylinder number 3, and we're going to do the same test. Key on, switch on, hit the starter, test. And that's even a little bit better. That's right around 140. So cylinder number 3 is 140. Back again, same thing, number 2, key on, switch on, start. And again, we're right around 140 or so, maybe 130. After testing all the cylinders, what I've noticed is that each of these cylinders is consistently down what seems to be about 25 or 30 psi. So I'm not sure whether I'm going to attribute that to this engine being bad, or the piston rings, or some other thing, valves, something else being bad on the engine. I'm going to do 2 more things. I'm going to test with a better compression tester. Now the one I got was a cheap one. I'm going to find my better one and use it. And then I'm also going to do a leak down test. And I will show you that in another video. The leak down test is essentially a compression test that can actually show you where something is leaking from if your cylinders are down on compression. So look for that video.